Morning, friends. This is a Tahitian butternut squash. It is good. When you go into the garden to try to harvest some Tahitian butternut squashes, you got to have four essentials. You got to have seed, right? Without seed, you can't plant. But even if you plant the seed, you got to have water. You need soil to put the seed into. You got to have sunshine. So sunshine, soil, seeds, showers. This is what gives you the Tahitian. Now, in that formula, some of that, I have a responsibility. Like, I can't make the seed sprout. There's no way I can put into that little seed the life that God gave it, that make it sprout and to make the squash. But I can take the seed and put it in the ground. I can't make the ground, but I can work the soil that God has provided. The rain, forget it. I can't do anything with the rain. I get my garden hose. Our garden is so big, when I water, I can't really water enough without a garden hose. We're praying for rain when the drought comes. But I have a part. And then the sunshine, I don't even have a part. We say, Lord, help the sun to shine on these little plants, because they use that energy from the sun through photosynthesis to make energy. So that's the essentials in the garden. But again, God has His part, which is the bigger part. We have our small part: work the soil, put the seed in the ground, pray for rain, thank the Lord for the sunshine. But the same is true in anything. That God has His part, we have our part. When we, with health, we have our part to do. You know, God gives health to the body, but we have a part. We need to maintain the body. We need our exercise, get to bed at a decent hour, drink your water, take out all the bad things. Say, those Krispy Kreme donuts, just say no. You know, we have our part. Same in spiritual things. Maintenance in the garden, maintenance of the body, maintenance of the home, maintenance of the marriage. If you want to maintain your marriage, you have a part, and certainly God has a part, but ours is an important part. Now, the husband, the word husband, house band. Around every home is a secret, sacred circle. The house band, the husband, as high priest of the home, it's his responsibility to keep the circle sacred. And he exerts an influence in the home with the wife that maintains that atmosphere of peace and security. And inside that circle, the children don't even come in there. You know, there are things you will tell your wife you won't tell your children. It's just a circle of the husband and wife. Genesis 2:24, these two shall become one flesh. This is an intimacy, a secret, sacred circle that no one enjoys except the husband and the wife. And the husband is willing to even to die for the woman inside that circle, right? Ephesians 5, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave Himself for it. So that's it. Now, the influences that might break down the walls of that circle. The husband takes a no trespassing sign, puts it up, and nobody comes in. There's not room enough for another individual inside that circle. Now, of course, without the Lord, you have no circle. God gives you wisdom and ability to maintain the wall of protection around your home. So really, the sacred circle has three inside of it: the husband, the wife, and the Lord. And the Lord, with His power, makes the circle functional. But you know, some of the things that kind of break into the secret, sacred circle. Let's take financial security. More specifically, debt. So the husband exerts an influence that what goes out does not exceed what comes in. He keeps the financial records balanced. And if you don't make much, well, you don't spend much. It's pretty simple. You might want to consider not going into debt for a car. Get an older used car, one you can afford, and not have money problems. Instead of getting a mortgage, you could think about building your own house. My wife and I did. We didn't have a lot of money, so got some books, began to read them. Today, the little cabin I live in, my wife and I built it. We have no mortgage, we have no debt. That helps, because when you have financial security, it helps to maintain some peace and security inside the family circle. So that's two things. One, a no trespassing sign. Nobody comes into that secret sacred circle except the husband and the wife. Now I speak as a man. Nobody comes in except my wife. There's not room for any other presence in that circle but the Lord and my wife. And part of our conversation in that secret sacred circle is how to keep that circle secret and sacred. And of course that involves the Lord. And then, you know, the other two aspects you learn is that in order to have communion, to have fellowship, to have a closeness, in fact they say in Africa, fellowship, two fellows in a ship. Now you can be in a ship with somebody and get to know them and not even see them. In fact, if you see somebody and that's all you do, you don't really know them. You might sit in a boat with me and see that I'm tall. I've got gray hair, I think, falling out kind of. Got on a green shirt. I've got size 13 feet, but that's the outside. If all you know is what is on the outside, then you don't know them. You need a heart-to-heart familiarization. You need to know somebody for what's on the inside. And the only way to do that is to spend time with people. You got to spend time with people. So, number one, time with God. Number two, time with each other. So the husband of the high priest, he stakes out, you know, a claim for God in the home and spends some time with the wife every day, you know, looking at something of God's character, of God's writing, of praying to a God you can't see in a place you've never been, but knowing those prayers will change your life and the life of those around you. So time with God, and my wife and I have that. You know, before we eat breakfast, we sit down, have our worship, we talk about God, talk about the things of God, and it gives us a closeness. And then when we start to eat our breakfast, that's time with each other. And we can talk about what we're going to do that day, and it's nice. Darlene usually asks me, she said, Lou, what are you going to do today? And I said, well, I'm thinking about going out and cutting firewood. I think I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I said, honey, what are you going to do today? She said, maybe I'll be planting some greens, some lettuce, and some different things. And I might say, well, what can I do to help you? And she might ask me what she could do to help me. Some things we can do together. And some of the chores we do, they're separate. But even though the chore may be separate, we talk about it together. And that gives us time together. Time with God and time together. You know, and what seems to intrude upon that, you know, is I have a lot of friends that are married, and I've worked in different settings, and I worked in institutional settings, and I have my work in the church, and I have my work in the school. You know, social media can eat up your time that ought to be given with your wife. The quiet time in the evening where the husband and wife come together, have some time together before they go to bed. You know, these threats from the outside often come, media, social media, these things that just eat your time up and rob you of the quiet time with your spouse and maybe with your God. You know, the debt thing, the money challenges. You know, today there's so many opportunities to make large amounts of money in such a short time. The temptation comes to make a fast buck. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, all these get rich quick schemes. My dear friends, it's a hazard to the sacred circle. These things that take your mind off God, off the relationship with each other, it's a hazard and can rob you of your peace and security. Because if I walk into my home and I don't have peace and security, then it's not a home, it's just a house. I don't want to live in a house, I want to live in a home. There was one time when Darlene and I were in the early 20s, we stayed in a car for a short time. We're building a cabin. We lived in a car together. Now, you can live in a car and it can be a home. You can live in a golden palace and it's just a house. Everything has to do with the heart-to-heart relationship, the fellowship that is enjoyed by those inhabiting the structure called a house. And dear friends, it's not the structure. What makes a house is the home when the hearts are united. So may the Lord help us all. You know, may He help us all to concentrate our efforts on trying to keep the world out and the Spirit of God in. The diversions of all this big wide world out, and the simple pleasures and the simple security and the simplicity and sincerity that God ordains to be in the family circle, may we keep that in. So Lord, help us today to be finding heaven in our little homes. You have a nice day.